It's about hashtag run with mode Arbery's movement. So this has come about because a 25-year-old black kid was out jogging, and apparently it was his normal route. There was a house that was being built, and most people are interested in home and developments, so he was stopped looking around his home. And there was a 64-year-old and 35-year-old father and son who decided that this was a guy who was running around doing burglaries. I don't know how they decided, but they took it upon themselves to play vigilante, jump into their truck armed. Yeah, so in other words, you were going out looking to do something with those weapons. You don't leave your house to investigate something and carry weapons unless you intend to use them. Let's get that fact straight. So they carried these weapons intending to use them. They then followed this guy for a few blocks, not knowing that they were being screened from behind. There was somebody that was actually recording this. And they stopped the jogger, questioned him, and for some reason it turned into a scuffle where the 35-year-old with the shotgun was scuffling with the black runner. So tell me something. How intimidating is that when you have one black guy in a jogging suit, unarmed, against two white men armed with shotguns and a handgun? The 35-year-old ends up shooting the black guy in a scuffle and killing him. Now, the outrage of all of this is because it happened in February. So what's happened since then is quite obvious, is that the father, who is an ex-policeman, has had it where his son has been protected because of what has happened. He's shot this black guy. They realized how wrong it was, and they've just tried to cover it up and protect it. Now, a few things have happened here. There's been political outrage, and that's the only reason why the father and the son ended up getting arrested, because of this outrage. So, quite frankly, these two Americans would have completely got away with it had there not been any of this uproar. 2 months have gone by, 3 in fact, since this happened, and it's only just now we're hearing about it. Could you imagine the uproar if 2 black guys went out armed and shot a white man in America? It wouldn't be 2 or 3 months. It wouldn't even be 2 or 3 days. It wouldn't even be 2 or 3 hours. We'd be hearing it all over the national news networks in a 2 or 3 minutes if this had happened. And I would challenge you guys to that. Any of you guys that think that that would not be the case, leave your comments in the section below. I'd love to hear it. But this is, again, it shows the disparity of why so many people get angry. This was almost like a modern day lynching. These 2 males left their homes with weapons, armed, intending to do damage. Yeah? That is the first problem. That is the problem that goes on. Right now, there are runners all over the world, all over America, who are in fear of just going out and getting exercise. Because how can something like this happen in this day and age? Normally we talk about police abuse. They weren't even police. One was retired, the other one was his son. They weren't even officers of the law, and yet they were getting away with this until all of this political unrest. They were actually getting away with this. We talk about people bringing others to justice. Remember, this guy's innocent. He's done nothing wrong. He's unarmed. Yeah? He's done nothing wrong. And he's gone out in broad daylight, shot, which was on camera. Could you imagine if it wasn't recorded and there was no video evidence? Could you imagine? It would be their word against his. Then I think we know how that would end up. This is the reason why there's so much hate in America. Because you can't get something like this right. People think that they can take the law into their own hands. And I don't even think it's the law, because he wasn't even guilty. So it's got nothing to do with the law. It is just modern day lynching. That's what it is. It's some white guys who want to go out there and get some justice for themselves because they want to, because they feel like they're obligated because of the life that they've lived and the way that they were raised and how they perceive black people. That's why they went out there. Seriously. This is just unbelievable that it has taken 3 months for this to come to light. Anyway, listen, on to home matters. There was leaks about Boris Johnson's rules being relaxed for social distancing and some businesses being allowed to open up, and this came out because Wales, Scotland's leaders came out and was talking about some of the rules being relaxed. And that's led to everybody believing that this conference on Sunday that Boris Johnson is going to submit would be to relax those rules. So I went out yesterday just to pick up a few essential goods. And when I drove around, remember, this isn't even high street, this is local. There was flower shops, there was nail shops, washing laundry, sandwich bars open. And I'm thinking, so businesses have taken this as a sign that they must go out and open again. And believe me, it was just packed. I mean, I've never seen so many people out on the road. The cars, the roads were packed with cars. And the shopping centres were packed with buyers. More than I've ever seen. A second wave is going to be more devastating than the first. Remember, remember with the Spanish flu in the 1918s, it wasn't the first wave that caught everybody off guard. It was the second wave. The second wave done 70% more damage. Remember, there was over 50 million people killed. The second wave is what done the most damage in the Spanish flu. And I think with here, this has the potential to cause the same effect. Because I'll tell you why. We have already submitted 7 to 8 weeks of commitment to staying at home and locking it down. And everybody is at the end of their tether. We've committed ourselves to what the government's wanted. And I'll tell you something now, guys, it will all be for nothing. Because once businesses come back, and once people start to get out there, and the economy starts to recover, that'll be it. There will be no more lockdown. You've lost that ability to lock everything down. And the only reason why the numbers are plateaued and the curve is starting to flatten is because there's been no contact or hardly any contact, and social distancing has been put out in full effect. Once you relax those rules, yeah, once the dam is broken, you can't stop that wave, that tsunami from you can't stop it. It's gone, it's let loose. You've lost that ability now because businesses won't close again. And a few people who have been tired of being locked up in their homes, that'll be it for them. They've committed their 2 months and that'll be it. And if a second wave hits, unless these guys come out with a vaccine or something to stop this, it is going to explode. And I'm saying that because of what happened with Spanish flu. That's the only reason why. Because it's been proven through time that the second wave has been more devastating than the first. Already in America, for those, remember the marches that were happening in the protests a couple of weeks ago? And I said, pray for America, I dread to see what the next 7 days will hold. Well, guess what? In those states, infections and death rates have doubled. And you know what? They're just carrying on. Straight, full tilt. They're just carrying on. So, and there's no stopping it, because once you've given them that freedom, once the shackles have come off, that's it. It's open season. And the virus will thrive on that. That's all I can advise everyone to really do. Stick within the rules and you'll be okay. Now's the time where you've got to think about your health and your family. And look, I totally get it. I said to my wife Lisa yesterday, yeah, when we were talking about something. In fact, I'll leave the link in the description below, because we was looking at the affected people in America's economy. And when I say the affected people, I'll explain. There are people out there that have lost their jobs. And let's remember, 34 million Americans have filed for unemployment. That is half the population of the UK. Could you imagine if half the population of the UK were unemployed? It would be a complete capitulation of the economy. And that's what's happening in America at the moment. Some of these people are sitting at home with no money, they've run out of food, and they have lost all options. They don't have any options. It's not like most of the people who can get job seekers allowance or can get some kind of allowance to get some benefits if you go unemployed. Some of these people in America, remember, 62% are living paycheck to paycheck, which means once the paycheck doesn't come in, you can no longer afford to pay your mortgage. You can no longer afford to put food on the table. You can no longer pay the loans for your cars. If you don't eat, then the chances are you're going to starve to death. So the only option you have is to go out there and put yourself at risk. That's the decision that some of these people are making. And we have to understand that as people on the other side. We have to understand that some of these people are left with no options. That's why it's nice for us to say, oh, why are they doing that? That's silly. Don't they know that they're going to put themselves at risk by being infected? No, they don't have a choice. And we need to understand that. We need to start looking at what's going on behind closed doors. Because some of these families are struggling and they've got no choice. Like if we sit here with no money and no food and everything, what's going to happen to us? It's bad, guys. It's bad. And listen, pray. We've got to pray for these people, man. We've got to pray for these people. We really got to pray for these people, man. That's all from me today, guys. Do the right thing, man. Do the right thing. Peace out. Hashtag stay home. Hashtag with me, and I'm out.